Oh, hi, strangers. I didn't see you there. This is Krista, and with me is Krabby Pants Kurt.
Hi.
How are you doing today, Kurt?
I'm doing okay. I didn't sleep good, and I think it was because it was so warm in my apartment.
Yeah,
I hate
in the 90s here.
Hate summer. I hate summer with a passion.
You don't have air conditioning?
I do, but it's just like a wall unit that kind of sucks as it is, so it doesn't really do much.
Is it not in your bedroom either?
No. No, so the living room can be ice cold and the bedroom's hot.
You should put a fan in your door.
I do, and it still doesn't help.
Well, shoot.
I know.
I have central air, not to brag. It's like freezing.
I'll be sleeping down here in the strange cellar pretty soon.
Oh, goodness. So other than that, we covered
the weather talk.
Corner. Yeah. Oh, real quick, so we don't forget, if you're new and you want to skip over the titillating 20 here at the beginning, check your show notes. Kurt's going to post the timestamp for when the actual topic starts. So just want to get that out there.
And I'm still penciling stuff in on our housekeeping, so run a tight ship here. Just want to give a super huge shout out to the family of stranger Sergey.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That passed away. One of our
So
strangers.
sad.
I think I was so devastated when you sent me that, because I've talked to him.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and then
very active on the strangers page.
Yes, and then to find out, and then feelings just horrible for his family.
Yeah, so unexpected too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they were on a family vacation, and he ended up, I don't know exactly what happened, but it turned out that he had like brain blood cancer or something like that, and they had no idea.
No.
And he left behind a wife and 2 young children, and it's just so sad.
That was a rough night for me when you told me that.
Yeah.
So Sergey, rest in peace.
And he's so young.
I know. I know.
Gosh.
I know.
So,
That was bad. Other stuff for people that have been following the roller coaster ride that is my job. And thank you for all the
light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Thank you for all the people that have checked in on me with my anxiety stuff and all that. I've been going, like I said, we get 6 free sessions with a counselor, and I'm on like the 3rd one, and I feel like that's been helping. But it's a lot of she's like puzzled about why some stuff is going on. Like at the beginning of the year, she's like, were you this bad at the beginning of the year when this was a brand new job? And I was like,
nervous.
no, I was nervous, but not like this. And she's like, well, why were you not as bad for this? Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of that. But I talked to the vice principal, Courtney, who's really everybody there is so awesome this week. And I said, I will be coming back there in the fall.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm so glad you stuck it out. I'm glad you're going to come back. And I think the kids are going to be really happy
They
too.
are, because that's the reason I'm going back.
Yeah, totally.
I can't get into talking about it because I would start crying, but I love
I can tell you already look a little
I know, I'm already
emotional.
getting. Yeah.
Well, that's good though.
Yeah,
I mean, that means you're
adore the
passionate
kids.
about it.
I love the kids, and I've had some threaten me if I don't come back that they're going to find out where I live. I was sacrificed this week.
Yep.
If you're in a strangers, you saw the video of some of the 6th
The
graders.
ritual sacrifice.
They came and got me, and they're like, Mr. K, we need you to come be our sacrifice. And I'm like, all right.
That was so funny.
They were so loud.
And then you sent me
chanting.
a picture of all the thank you cards and notes that they gave you.
For my geocaching. Yeah, like
That's
I said,
so neat.
I cannot express how much I love these kids. I truly do. So for better or worse, I'll be going back in the fall.
Yep.
And we'll see how that goes.
I'm glad. I'm happy to hear that.
And one of the things, with the anxiety stuff and talking to the counselor, and you and I mentioned this about our project we possibly are going to be doing in the fall, that I need desperately to get into shape. Like I am in the worst shape I think I have ever been in physically.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that this morning on the way here, I stopped at Burger King and McDonald's.
What?
Because I was reading like a comparison of their biscuit sandwiches. And I was like, ooh, I've never had a biscuit sandwich from...
So you had 2 biscuit sandwiches this morning, Kurt?
I had a biscuit sandwich and hash browns from Burger King and 2 breakfast burritos and a hash brown from McDonald's.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that's becoming a problem.
That's concerning. I'm worried about your heart
strangers,
health.
Strangers, you guys are always there for me. I need you guys to help me with this fitness thing. I don't know how, but a couple of years ago, I lost over 50 pounds and it was so easy. And like Miranda is like, why can't you get that going now?
It's all about your mindset.
It is. And I think right now, dealing with the school stress and stuff, like I drive past Burger King every day and it's like, stop at Burger King.
Food is comfort.
Yeah.
Well, Tristan offered to help you out with some
Yes.
recipes, so
Yes.
I think you should take him up on that.
I should. So Tristan, you might be hearing from me very soon because it's getting bad. And
it's all about eating. I mean,
one of my
getting in
students,
shape is good.
and he didn't mean anything bad by this, but he was up by me at the desk during lunch, and he's like, "Mr. K, you've gotten a lot fatter since the beginning of the year."
Kids are honest.
But they are, and I looking at that video we shot, I'm like, ugh, I got to lose weight. So that's coming up very soon is Kurt's fitness challenge. I ideally would like to get down to 230. And that's 50,
and you're tall,
50
so
pounds.
That'd be a pretty normal weight for you.
Yeah, so that's that. What else do we got? There was a surprise strangers convention yesterday.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah, I'm sitting in my office at work and all of a sudden I hear, "Hi, Krista." And I look and there's Kayla from work, she's a stranger.
Hey, Kayla.
We're coworkers. I've never met her before, even though she's dropped off a taste test in the past and we've emailed and messaged on Facebook. I've never actually met her face to face. And I actually got to meet her face to face yesterday. So that was exciting. And Sherry was in her office. She's also a stranger across the hall. So she popped out and the three of us chatted for a little bit.
That's just so cool.
And actually another coworker said he had listened to several episodes too and really liked it. So I didn't know that he had been listening. So that's really cool. So hey, Justin, if you're listening,
That's
hey,
awesome.
but also Kayla, so exciting to finally meet you.
Yeah, and stranger Lizzie, one of our newer strangers, messaged me yesterday that she got a coworker of hers hooked on it. So it's just really cool. It's
fun.
Yeah.
Feels like a family for sure.
It does. Do we have any other housekeeping?
Probably. I say this every time.
Trying to think.
Yeah, I don't know. T-shirts are still available. Mugs are still available.
Oh, Carly in Australia got
did
hers,
she
and
finally get it?
She said it fits perfectly.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, I love my T-shirt.
Yeah, and I posted some pictures on Instagram of people sporting their merch, so that's
so
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carly sent me a picture of her wearing hers, so it's just cool that people in other countries are wearing our shirts.
Yeah, and they're willing to pay for the shipping. Thank you, Carly.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Don't know what else to say. I feel like my allergies are so bad. Allergy medication's not even helping. So
I've heard it's bad for a lot of people this year.
Yeah.
I haven't been impacted by it yet, knock on wood.
I hope you don't.
Yeah, me too.
What do you want to do first? Should we do a taste test or open our package?
Let's open the package.
Okay.
Oh, do I need to get the...
I think you might have to. And this was sent to us by our longtime listeners, Whitney and Josh Carpenter.
Oh, yeah, they're very long. And I think Josh also has a T-shirt. The one I'm wearing right now.
Awesome. Not that actual shirt you're wearing, but the same,
that would be weird.
The same style.
While I'm struggling to open this, I would also like to point out that we bought another magnetic whiteboard so that we can display all of our amazing listener gifts, and we're already out of room.
It's already full.
So we'll have to buy another one. And we don't want to stick tacks in anything, so we're trying to do all magnetic.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we're getting somewhere.
They said it's a bunch of like smaller things, I guess. So just reach in and grab something.
Demolishing this box.
Because they've been doing like this whirlwind tour of the states, and they were in Roswell.
Okay, that's right.
And they went to that little alien, which I am so jealous about because visiting there is on my bucket list.
Nice. Okay, so just reach in and grab.
Just
one
reach in
thing.
and grab things. Let's see what we got.
Ooh, that's fun.
It's like toilet paper.
Is it toilet? Oh my god, it's alien toilet paper. I didn't even know that was a thing, or that I would love it so much. That's really
this
cute.
is cool. Alien toilet paper.
If only we had a crapper down here.
We might have to hang that on the wall on a toilet paper roll.
Oh, that'd be funny. Okay.
It would be. That's so cool.
Funny. Am I grabbing more, or are we saving?
No,
stuff?
we'll grab. Let's do it all.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Toilet paper.
Ooh, a tinfoil hat. I love it.
An actual tinfoil.
I hope they didn't pay too much for this because I feel like tinfoil is available at all grocery stores.
Comfy felt lining.
Ooh, felt lining. Okay.
Tinfoil hat for humans.
I guess tinfoil would get a little irritating on like your forehead, so I like that it has some lining in it.
This tinfoil hat for humans offers protection against mental and psychotronic attacks from both government agents and alien intruders. They have been targeting you for years. Don't let being a targeted individual limit your life. Wear this hat to the grocery store, a football game, or even the DMV, and they won't be able to read your thoughts or modify your behavior. Our unique cutting-edge design blocks all electromagnetic fields and reduces HAARP and gamma rays by 70%. Includes a soft felt lining for the ultimate comfort needed for 24-hour use.
I love that it's specified that it's for humans.
Yes.
Are there ones for like dogs or?
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Okay, gotta take a picture. It always makes me think of Signs.
Yes, when they're all like this, where they're all sitting there with their
in the bedroom.
tinfoil. Yeah,
that's one of my all-time favorite movies. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Oh, that might be it. Nope. Wait. Yep, I think so. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
I love it. Actually, these are gonna go in our carry-all cabinet here.
I mean, I wouldn't want to use even in an emergency. I wouldn't want to use that. That's too cool to. I wonder if they have that like at Roswell in the bathrooms there. Thank you guys so much for the awesome stuff.
I have this annoying habit of carrying on a conversation when I'm like not anywhere near the microphone.
No, so thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, so cute. I love it. Again, the fact that anyone thinks of buying us stuff while they're out traveling
boggles my mind.
Yeah, totally. Oh, and by the way, Devin, nice try. I'm not tasting crickets again.
Yeah, we did. Well, we could take them. I mean, we could try.
Kurt?
Well,
we'll save them for next time Devin is on, and he
I
can
preferred
take
the
them.
grub worms to the crickets because the crickets, their antennas would get stuck in your teeth.
Yeah,
there's just kind of gross.
There's like legs and stuff involved.
Yes.
The larvae, at least, they were just like one little piece of indistinguishable, stuff.
We're just gonna do one thing from the Norway.
Yeah, let's do that.
That is heavy. Holy
Yeah,
wowzers!
there's still a ton of stuff in there.
Should I just reach in there and grab something?
Grab something. I hear a bag. Laban. Den Original. So good. So sugary.
That's
English translation. Laban, the original. Tenacious men and women. Tenacious jelly men and women. I mean, they do look tenacious.
They do look tenacious.
And they're like jelly candies in the shape of men and
They
women.
look good. I think there's lemon, orange, apple.
Oh. Here, do you want to read that little note on the back?
Yep.
I don't know if you can read it through the tape.
It says, "Let us out. For Laban, tenacious jelly men and women, fun and play is the meaning of life. That's why they are not just waiting for the sound of the bag opening so that the party really can start. Don't be baffled if you hear cheering when that happens." That's what it says on the back.
Okay.
I'm excited to try these.
So when we open the bag, there's going to be cheering.
They are cute little jelly
They are
men.
cute. They're like they look like they're dancing
why am I
and
opening
stuff.
it?
Yeah,
That's
why
not,
are you
that's
opening
not
it?
that's not my
Jeez,
shtick.
Kurt. Okay, because you probably would have been more efficient at it.
Oh,
Did you?
look
I didn't
at
take a picture.
that.
Hold on. They kind of look like. Well, we'll
Making
see.
it look easy.
I did. I made it look easy. Like I do this every day, or at least every other week. Ooh, they smell really good. Okay, ready? I'm gonna grab. Look at how cute they are.
They're really cute.
Okay, I'm grabbing a green one and a red one. I can smell the sugar.
I am going to grab a yellow one and a purple one.
They're so cute.
Wow, that's green, not so much purple. They smell real good.
They do. Okay.
That was like a horrible.
What are you gonna taste?
They smell real good.
Real
good.
good.
Yeah, that was. I do have a degree in English, people. Ready?
Which one are you tasting?
Yellow.
Okay, I'm gonna taste green.
Okay.
Go.
Oh, sugary.
Wow.
Oh.
I mean, they taste like a gummy worm, but I feel like the texture is better.
Yes.
Gummy worms are really like a jaw workout, at least.
These are really good.
Yeah, they are really good. I ate the torso. I'm going to eat the bottom half. Very good.
I really like these.
So do they have different flavors? Mm-hmm. Okay.
There is
So what is green? I guess we can't really tell.
apple,
Apple. Oh. Does that taste like apple?
lemon, apple, pineapple, raspberry, orange. I really like these. These might be one of the best like gummy candies I've ever eaten.
I don't know that I can tell the difference between the flavors. Like the green tasted just like the red.
Yeah,
But they're really good.
they're
either
so
way.
sugary.
Really sugary. Yeah, they're really good. And cute. I feel like the enjoyment factor comes from how cute they are.
I'm gonna give. What are you gonna give that out of 10?
I'm going to give it like an 8 because I'm not normally like a candy person. If they were covered in chocolate, I'd give it a 10.
I'm gonna give them a 9. They're
Okay.
like darn near perfect.
Not like shockingly sweet either. There's just enough of like a tartness to
There's a
them.
lot of sugar coating. That is really good.
All right. We're only 16 minutes in.
Oh, we're doing good.
We're killing this.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're missing an entire segment.
Oh, we probably are. Are we?
I don't know. I do feel like we're forgetting something like important. I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know. The problem is, I'm like, Monday, I'm like, oh, I got all week to get ready for the podcast. Wednesday,
Last night
I got
you're
a couple
like
days to get ready for the podcast.
in a flurry
8
of
o'clock
activity.
last night. Oh, I forgot to print out the podcast. And then it's like, oh my God. So yeah.
That's okay. If we cut the titillating 20 a little short, that leaves a little extra room for stories.
And
so.
that's going to be part of the issue today that I was going to talk to you about.
Oh, we might run out of time.
Our usual 90-minute episode is 8 or 9 pages, sometimes 10. This is 20.
Oh, dang.
So we
Wow.
are going to, should we do 2 listener story episodes this season and like do
Well,
one later in the season?
You know what we could do?
What?
Is we could release part 1 tomorrow and part 2,
Next time?
or even next week.
No, I would rather split it into 2 just in
completely
case
separate
that there is
episodes?
somebody that's like, oh, I wanted to get you guys a story.
Oh, yeah,
and-
we could do that.
So let's do that. Let's do, if we don't do your story you sent us in this episode, we will do another listener submission
Yeah.
episode later this season.
2 in one season? That just
Yep.
made my day.
Yeah, so I figured that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I like it. I'm down. I'm agreeable and
Because I was
cooperative.
printing it out last night, and I'm like, oh boy, we are going to run out of time. So we're going to have 2 stories.
And we have something else we have to record after this, so.
Yeah, we actually do.
Okay.
We'll save that as a secret.
Just dangling that out there.
Just dangling that out there. We just looked at each other like, should we say
See
something?
what we did
there? So today,
I forgot to put Willie on my that sounded
Bigfoot
funny.
Willie.
Well, he has a little okay. I just put Willie on my boom, my microphone boom or whatever you want to call it, arm. And there's little Bigfoot stickers in here. I'm going to leave him in here so he has a little company at night while he's sleeping with his blankie. Kurt's eating more gummy men.
You were talking, so I figured I could eat. No,
Gummy men and women.
I can't tell the difference between the men and the women, though. Well, yeah, I can.
Oh, are there boobs on the women?
Yeah, there are
There
boobs.
are
There are
boobs.
boobs on the women.
Women. I didn't notice that. Now I have to take a picture of that.
That is gummy boobs. I like that.
Oh, funny. That's a phrase I never thought I would hear anyone say.
I don't know if anybody's ever said gummy boobs
There are
before.
gummy boobs on these. I don't know if I'm going to be able to capture that, but
Oh, I
Fun.
like the yellow
well,
one.
I'm going to eat this one now.
I like the yellow ones.
Is it lemon? Actually, that's the only one that actually tastes like it says it's going to taste.
That one is good. All right, so this episode is listener stories. I'm going to start off talking about, because people have been asking me about my stimulus check thing.
Oh, yeah.
And this is just weird. Like I still don't know what to make of this. You know the whole story
I do.
behind that. So here's the situation. Like I got the stimulus check, the $1,400 stimulus check.
One of them.
Even with my tax rebate, I don't like direct deposit because I like having the check. It's like a weird psychological thing where I like having the physical rebate check sent to me.
I'm the opposite. I don't want the hassle. Just put it in my account.
No, I like holding that check and having that check. So I got my rebate check, my stimulus check, right? And like shortly after it came out, so I brought it upstairs and I put it where I put all my check stuff on my PlayStation. Corey, my brother, knows my filing system.
It's on your PlayStation.
Yeah, which is on my table, on my desk, on my PlayStation, on the floor, somewhere. So I put the stimulus check on top of my PlayStation. And it sat there for a couple months. Like it was there
my
for
gosh.
I feel better mentally having that check there as opposed to having it cashed in the bank.
And being able to like pay bills with it.
See, like
That's so
it's
strange.
like an emergency backup thing. Like I
Okay.
just like having it there. It's weird.
like
I've
your
always
savings
yes,
account?
like I've always been that way.
Okay.
So my stimulus check sat there on top of my PlayStation, and one Friday I went and I pay a place to do my taxes.
Okay.
So I went there on a Friday, paid them to submit my taxes and stuff. And I knew I was getting money back from both federal and state. So that was on a Friday. On the Monday, directly after that Friday, I think I got home from work. I remember coming home from work, putting my stuff in the house, walking down to get the mail, open the mailbox, and all that was in there was like a governmental looking envelope, like what the tax stuff looks like from the Department of Revenue or whatever. So I brought it back up to my apartment, and as I was walking up the steps towards the top of my apartment, I tore the envelope open on the side to see how much my income tax was. And I opened it on the side, and it said $1,400. And I'm like, cool, it's the exact same as my stimulus check. So I took my tax check into my living room and set it on top of my stimulus check on top of the PlayStation. And it sat there for a week maybe. And then one night I was like, I think I remember only seeing one check when I walked past my PlayStation. So I walked out in the living room. I was already in bed by that time, looked at the PlayStation, and there was only one check on it. And I'm like, that's got to be my income tax check. So I'm like, where did I put my stimulus check? So I started to like tear my apartment apart looking for my stimulus check, and I could not find it. And I was freaking out pretty bad because I needed money badly. And I could not find my stimulus check anywhere. And I think I told you that. I think I texted you about this.
Yeah, you're freaking out.
And Corey said the same thing that you guys did. Corey's like, you would not, if they submitted your taxes on Friday, you would not have got a check back already on Monday.
No. When you do it electronically,
but
yes.
My thought was they always wait until I pay them before they electronically submit my taxes. And I thought maybe they accidentally submitted it, or they just knew I was going to pay because I've been going to them forever. So they maybe just submitted it knowing I was going to come in and pay.
It still seems really soon, though.
It does.
To get a paper check. Direct deposit is about a week.
But I panicked like crazy because I was up. I was bad that night. I could not find this stupid stimulus check. So I was
You had like a major anxiety
and
attack.
that was the next day at work when I had the panic attack and had to leave work for those 2 days. And then 2 weeks later, both of my tax checks came. But I have this, it wasn't a dream. It was not a dream. I have never had a dream like that where I confuse it with reality. I don't think I have ever. So it's weird to me that I have this vivid memory of walking down to the mailbox, getting this check out, opening it up, seeing it was $1,400, which was the same as the stimulus check that had been sitting on my PlayStation for quite a while.
We got more than one stimulus check, though.
But it was, but I mean, no, this was the same $1,400 stimulus check, because the first one wasn't $1,400. I don't think the first one was $1,400. But it was weird because I have this, it wasn't.
It's like a false memory.
It's like a false memory, or like
a Mandela effect.
A Mandela effect, or
a singular Mandela
or
effect.
am I like losing it?
I think anxiety can do stuff like that. And I think I said that to you. I'm like, when you're going through anxiety, your brain's just not processing things right. You're kind of in fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
And I think that could have played into it for sure, but it's weird.
It's weird to me because, like you said, a Mandela effect, or like repeating something that happened. Especially
since you're so regimented in like your routines. It is surprising that that this would happen.
Yeah. So it freaked me out on a lot of levels, like both on kind of like the paranormal, like something weird happened where this thing repeated, where I got this stimulus check, or am I starting to lose it? And that scares me too.
I think it was probably anxiety.
I don't know because it could have been. And I mean, because that's basically what set off the chain of events that led to my panic attack.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you ended up with all the checks.
I ended up with all the checks, but I have this memory of going down to get this check when it's never happened.
That's weird.
So I don't know. So that's my weird story about my stimulus check.
That is strange.
Was it a parallel universe thing? Am I just going crazy? Was it anxiety?
I don't know. It's weird.
But it was like whatever happened there set everything off in motion for my panic attack and for that really, really bad couple of weeks I had. So I don't know. So anyway, that's my story about my stimulus check.
Yeah.
It's all cash. Strange. It's all in the bank. I'm going to start cashing them right away.
That's a good idea.
But that's right. Or getting them direct deposited. Might as well join the 2000s and get a direct deposit instead of having a paper check.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, that's my story. Our first story from a listener, Krista, is going to read.
Okay.
It's a long one.
Let me get my spectacles. Oh, you're going to make me read a long one?
You're going to be reading a really long one.
Okay.
This one is from our awesome stranger, and Krista and I were actually just talking about him before we even started recording, and that is from Tristan Petrash.
Yes. One of our Canadian listeners.
And he has an amazing YouTube channel.
Yes, he does. I just watched another video yesterday, and I'm just like, it's so professional.
He just made kimchi grilled cheese.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
Which I really want to try.
Yeah, it looked really good. Okay. All right, you ready? Kurt's chugging his coffee right now.
I'm ready.
Okay. Hi, Kurt and Krista.
Hi, Tristan.
Hi, Tristan. So I've been meaning to write into you to tell you about the things that have happened to me in my life. So here goes. I've had several things happen over the years, so I'm just going to stick to the main stuff and then tack the other stuff onto the end so that you can still read about it if you want. I also want to clarify that despite the things I've experienced, I'm very skeptical about most paranormal and especially ghost phenomenon. But that being said, I can't really explain a lot of this. When I was 13, my parents were buying our first home. We managed to find a great place in a good neighborhood that was a major upgrade for us. After a few years, my grandfather was suffering from a form of Alzheimer's and came to live with us. We turned our then unfinished basement into an apartment for myself since we didn't have room for my grandfather. The house was less than 20 years old as the previous house had burned down. This next account is secondhand information, so I don't know how true it is, but apparently an older couple lived in the original house. The husband passed away at some point, and shortly after, the widow walked down the street to the river and committed suicide. Ugh. After the new house was built, less than 2 years later, the big tree out front fell and caved the roof in. The same year my grandfather came to live with us, Christmas morning, our pipes burst and flooded the apartment. We were always having water issues with the property. The first real occurrence that happened to me, and I later found out was definitely a sleep paralysis situation, but I woke up early one morning to what sounded like a little girl whispering, "la la la," in my ear.
Oh, that
Nope.
creeps me out.
I'm just noping that. I was terrified and could not move. I've been there. It sucks. It felt as if I was being restrained. This lasted maybe 3 or 4 seconds, but at the time it felt like forever. He's describing a classic sleep paralysis. The next event was one day as I was watching TV in my bedroom and I could suddenly hear very faint music playing. So I muted the TV and could clearly hear something from down the hall in a room I used for storage. As I got closer, I could tell it was my Billy Talent CD playing, which I hadn't seen in forever, and it was coming from this crappy old stereo system I had. I moved a bunch of boxes out of the way and quickly ejected the CD. I then went to unplug it, and as I'm sure you've already guessed, it was not plugged in. Oh, come on.
Weird.
I was far more confused than scared. That would mess with me, for sure. My grandfather eventually passed away, not in the house, thankfully, and not long after my then girlfriend at the time, I was around 20, came to live with me in the downstairs apartment. One morning, she called me just crying and panicking, saying that as she woke up, she turned her head to see an old woman standing there just staring at her. Not in a mean or nice way, just a blank stare. She pulled the covers over her head, as you do, and waited a few minutes before looking again, and it was gone. She was also never told of the story of the widow either. That was where my mind went. I wonder if it was the widow. My parents decided to move into my grandfather's old house as the mortgage was paid off, and my girlfriend and I took the opportunity to rent the house from my parents. I'm a chef, and I love cooking, so the kitchen is my happy place. I never felt comfortable in this house's kitchen. Aside from the apartment in the basement, the house was just one floor and all open concept except for a small hallway leading to the bathroom and 2 bedrooms. I felt fine in the room beside the kitchen, and I felt fine in the living room on the other side. But whenever I was in the kitchen, it felt more like I was in someone else's house and was invading their space.
Weird.
I just felt uncomfortable, not scared or anything. There were lots of times when we were watching TV in the living room and I would see shadows or black dots moving around the ceiling next to the kitchen. It was always just at the edge of my vision, so I never saw one clearly. That's so common that people see stuff out of their peripheral vision.
That's what my crawling guy was. I mean, seeing the guy crawling out of my bathroom was just purely peripheral.
Well, and like Devin mentioned, the Hat Man.
Yeah.
He sees that out of the corner of his eye a lot. I think that's really common, just for like shadow people, everything. We both started to feel more and more uncomfortable in the house as time went on. It just didn't feel right. It all kind of came to a head one night in December when we were dead asleep and were instantly woken up by the creepiest thing I've ever heard in my life. You can see down the short hallway into the kitchen, especially the stove from the bedroom. What woke us up, I can only describe as very loud, and I mean loud, laughing. That just gave me the chills. but it had a slight mechanical or metal quality to it. You just had
That's
this happen
weird.
to you.
That it was like I described it as a mechanical chuckle.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yikes.
He said, but it had a slight mechanical or medical. But it had a slight mechanical or metal quality to it, almost similar to the sound of an old oven door makes when you open it. I know exactly
I could totally
what he's talking
hear
about.
that in my head too.
I was staring right at it when I woke up, and the door wasn't open and nothing looked unusual. But we both heard it. I told my girlfriend to go back to sleep, that it was nothing, mostly because I was so scared I didn't want her to see me freaking out. She passed out pretty much right away. I spent the next few hours until it was time to get up, staring into the kitchen, too afraid to look away. Ugh. Because we were young and dumb, we racked up a ton of credit card debt and just couldn't afford the house anymore, so we informed my parents that we were moving into one of her father-in-law's properties as we could stay rent-free until we were back on our feet. This is when things escalated. It took us about a month or so to pack and slowly move to the other house. During that time, my girlfriend would call me while I was at work, saying things like she could hear the walls banging, like someone was thumping their fist against them. Although he did say the house had a lot of water problems and pipes can make weird noises, but I just continued to feel uneasy in the house and got to the point I hated getting off work because it meant I had to go home. A few days before we finally moved, she called me at work one last time and said that one of the end tables had violently moved in front of her, and she was so scared she went to the other house. Jeez.
That sounds like super active.
Yeah. You would think that it would de-escalate if they were moving out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
About a week after we moved, we still had some stuff in the basement we needed to collect, so we reluctantly came back one final time to grab our stuff. We walked downstairs and grabbed 2 or 3 boxes. We were there maybe 3 minutes, but in that time, the basement had filled with this thick, heavy feeling, like far beyond tension. I went to grab another box from further down the room, near the bedroom, and was just overwhelmed with a sense of someone being pissed off at me. That's really creepy. And I also hesitated saying that word because,
I would legitimately be creeped out if we were investigating that place because there's so much like weirdness.
Yeah, the negative kind of vibes. I don't like that. It felt like I had just broken into someone's house and they caught me. I looked at my girlfriend and told her, "F it, let's just get out of here." I left all the boxes there and never came back.
Wow.
My parents eventually rented it out to some people, and I heard that they had some weird stuff happen, but I have no specific details. They sold the house a few years later. I don't know what exactly happened in that house, and if there is a rational explanation, it's beyond me. But I will never forget what happened there, and to this day can still vividly hear that laugh in my memory. Wow. Really creepy.
That is super creepy.
So many people say, like people who are into the paranormal, that they would love to live in a house that has activity. And I am the absolute complete opposite. I want my home to be my sanctuary where I feel safe and like secure. And I don't ever want to feel like there's something here with me that I can't
And as somebody
see.
that had stuff happen in that apartment, it was weirdly not super scary to me. I mean, the scratches on my body was when things started getting weird. But even seeing the dude crawl out of the bathroom, like none of that was like, it's weird. It's weird to me.
It's like scarier for us.
Yes. It's weird it's like when you're hearing it second from the person that did it.
Right. Or experienced it.
Yeah. When you're hearing it from the person that experienced it, it's almost scarier than when you are actually experiencing it, you know?
Right, because what I'm conjuring in my head is way creepier than maybe what you saw. I don't know. If that would have happened to me, though, I would have been terrified.
You know, like seeing my guy crawl out of the bathroom or whatever.
I love how he's your guy.
It's my guy.
Hey, it's my guy.
It's my guy with the weirdly broken back and the scraggly hair, the flannel shirt. No, because it's, I feel like when I explain that, you think of like a horror movie setting where it's dark and there's like the weird the music that always plays like during something scary happening. There's none of that. I think
only the light of the TV and it's like flashing.
There was nothing like that. It was like it would happen down here. Like if you and I just saw a dude crawl around in the morning, it would be like,
I'd still be
out of
here.
It's still weird, but it's not as weird as it would be happening like in a horror movie.
Yeah.
There was I don't remember what I was just reading, but it said when you're next time you're watching a horror movie and there's a scene that's really scary, like try watching it again later with the sound off. And it's just not as scary because of the the music
set
and
the
the
mood.
sounds, they set the mood. So
Well, this is like you and I have been watching a ton of found footage movies.
you know what was it In a Stranger's House? Was that the one that we both said it was just that guy that was like sitting?
Oh yeah, it was like in the
scene
UK
in there
or
that
something.
really bothered, that like still kind of freaks me out, and it wasn't even like that weird of a scene, was when he's laying in bed and he hears like this weird, it's almost like a chant or
Yes.
like a musical something. It's like a chant and like a musical beat or something.
Yeah.
And it's getting louder, and he walks to that room, and when he opens the door, it all just stops.
Yeah, that was one of the creepiest scenes
Yeah, for
me
that
too.
I think about that laying in bed at night, and that legitimately creeps me out.
I'll get to something else that I keep coming back to that creeps me out at night too. But I've told Kurt that I can't watch a scary movie when it's light out because it has no impact on me at all. Like I even said I should watch this again when it's dark out because I bet I would find it a lot scarier.
Yeah.
Because I really do think that makes a difference if you're in a dark setting.
Yeah.
The sun's shining in my living room.
It amazes me that movie, I think it's called In a Stranger's House, and Leaving DC.
Oh, those are both really good.
Yeah, and it's like one person. Like it basically
One
just
actor.
one actor, and how they can make an effective movie.
Yep.
You know, so
It's inspiring.
it is inspiring. keep that in mind.
So what I was going to say is, what was that other movie where they were running a haunted house?
Oh, Hell House Limited?
Yeah. So the scene that I unfortunately end up thinking about when I get up at 2:00 in the morning to go to the bathroom in our dark house is when that guy is in the room and he sees the girl sitting against the wall.
Yeah, that one was rough.
It is so
I was reading
creepy.
reviews about that, and they just said, you know what's going to happen. You
know
the
it's
guy
coming.
pulls his
Yes.
his cover up over his head, and then he looks back, and the girl's turned her head to look at him.
Oh my God.
And then he pulls the cover back up for a long time,
Really
and
long
you're
time.
just building attention because you know
it's coming.
As soon as he takes the cover down, she's going to
be right there. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It still
Yeah.
scares the bejesus out of
Yep.
you. And her
Yep.
eyes are okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's for the Patreon that we keep talking about.
And there's that scene, and was it that one? No, that was the Goji Haunted Asylum. The one scene that people say is either laughably bad or people say is scary as hell, where the girl is outside with the other girl, and she turns to talk to her, and the girl just starts like this gibberish, weird gibberish in her
That was
eyes.
creepy.
That creeped me
I thought
out.
it was creepy.
That creeped me out. How do we got off topic here? But anyway,
We digress.
Tristan, that was awesome.
Yeah.
We
Anyway, yeah.
we have
And there's more.
There is more from Tristan, other stuff, but we're gonna save that for the next listener stories episode. So we have
We have
because
a
I
lot
don't
to get
know
through.
how much we're gonna have left.
Okay.
Because we haven't done this episode yet, obviously. So I don't know how many stories we're gonna have
You're
left.
not a fortune teller.
And so Tristan, thank you so much. That
thank you.
gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Totally.
Like it was weird because I don't remember reading his stuff about the mechanical
Yeah, that
sounding
stood
laughter,
out.
but that's what I heard by my bed kind of that day.
So weird. I wonder if other people have heard that.
I don't know. So Tristan, that was awesome. Thank
Maybe
you.
that's a phenomenon we're not aware of.
And you know what we did totally forget? I put the pickle candy on top of my coffee just so I would remember it.
Okay.
What did we forget to do at the beginning of the episode? The very first thing we always do.
I can't remember.
Shout outs to new strangers. We
Oh,
did not,
dang.
we did
Wow.
not do it.
Oh, we're terrible.
While we were reading that story, I got a notification that we had a new stranger
I saw
join.
that. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we didn't even.
Should we do it at the end of the episode?
We can do it. Should we do it at the end of the episode?
Yeah, let's do it at the
okay.
end. Be weird to do
I'll
it
put
now.
it in the description for the episode that we do shout outs at the end, but we totally.
Sorry.
This is an aside, I might even edit this out, but one of the things that my counselor wants me to do is carry a little notebook with me called like my stress journal.
Okay.
Where it's going to have like little things that I can look at to like remember,
Ground
like just
you.
breathe. And one of the things I'm going to do is have like my students, because some of my students are super artistic, have them just draw something in there
that's
for
a
me
good
that when I
idea.
look at it, it'll like
Calm you.
calm me down. But I decided during you reading that I'm also going to make like the back section, remember to put this in housekeeping, because stuff pops in my head during the week and I'm like, we need to
yeah.
talk about this. And then we forget. So I'm going to jot it down so we're better at remembering
Or
housekeeping.
we forget entire regular segments.
Well, like I wanted to thank Brian and Lauren for having me on their podcast, Transatlantic History Ramblings, with
funny.
Neil. I love Neil Story.
Yeah.
Like seriously, I adore the man. Like he is so knowledgeable and so awesome. And we did an episode about black dogs. That's like a common thing in England. And I told you that we talked a little bit about how it's almost. There's similarities between the Hat Man or Shadow People and people seeing this black dog.
Really?
Yeah, and then at the end of us talking, Neil said that we should just go back on there, and then He wants to have a segment about Slender Man.
Okay.
And then I would talk about the Hat Man.
Yeah.
So we might do that.
Nice.
But you got to come on.
Okay.
Okay.
You just did your shout out. See?
Okay. Thank you so much, Brian and Lauren. Okay. And now we have a submission from listener and stranger Stephen from the UK, who is also Pink Flamingo.
Yes, Pink Flamingo Recording.
One of our big Instagram fans.
Yes. I want to get it right. Pink Flamingo
Yeah,
Music Productions.
He just started a podcast of his own.
Yep, it's called Haunted UK Podcast. I have not had a chance to listen to it yet.
I haven't either.
But he did submit a story and a couple of
Voicemails, I believe.
Well, they're not voicemails. They're actually, he gave us MP3s in his
Yes.
Dropbox.
Yep.
But he's like got a professional recording studio, so you can imagine the quality of this stuff.
Yeah. So he, probably better than ours, huh? But he sent us a story here about like Woodbridge and Bentwaters, which is in the Rendlesham Forest area.
Yep.
And we had an episode about the Rendlesham Forest UFO sighting.
This is kind of a follow-up to
Yep.
that.
So this is from Stephen from the UK. You probably know this already, but I'll briefly go over it. RAF Woodbridge was a joint base with RAF Bentwaters, and I think that stands for Royal Air Force.
I think
believe.
so too. That's what I thought.
Which operated as twin facilities from as early as the Second World War. USAF tactical squadrons regularly used both bases to launch operations from, as well as landing and repairing damaged aircraft. The entire area of Suffolk and Norfolk, I'll say Norfolk, contained many high-security bases which were involved in operations all over the world, especially in the Iraq wars. B-2 stealth bombers were regularly launched from these sites as part of tactical bombing strikes against Saddam Hussein's military. What many people never realized was the fact that these bases also held up to 1/3, and sometimes more, depending on the minutes of the doomsday clock, of the entire of the United Kingdom's nuclear weapons. Motions in the doomsday clock also influence the movement of nuclear weapons, and this is worldwide. This was one of the main reasons why the Rendlesham/Woodbridge/Bentwaters incident was taken so seriously. It went all the way to the UK Government House of Commons, where it was debated by MPs as to the validity of its threat to national security. It also went much higher. RAF Woodbridge and Bentwaters were decommissioned between the late 80s and early 90s, with staff and operations redistributed to other sites or shut down entirely. This is where the story starts. 2 RAF personnel, who will remain anonymous due to the possibility of them either still serving or having family serving, were being reallocated to bases in Scotland along with their families. They both decided to make the trip to Scotland altogether, but wanted to go back to RAF Woodbridge one last time to say goodbye. They parked at the gatehouse and left their families to wait for them in their cars. The officers informed the gatehouse security staff of their intention to take one last look around before they made their way to their new detail in Scotland. Security staff asked them for their IDs and let them onto the base, but warned them to keep clear of the missile silos. Both officers admitted that being told not to do something resulted in them doing the complete opposite, so they went straight for some of the missile silo locations.
Naturally.
Yep. I don't blame them. Upon reaching the destination, they were immediately and quite forcefully apprehended by American Blue Beret Special Forces. We're talking face down on the tarmac with boots on their heads and rifles pointed directly at them. After answering a barrage of questions, including, why were you at the silo sites? Who gave you authorization to enter this restricted area? And most strangely, what have you seen? They were taken to a hangar building for further interrogation. After being heavily questioned for almost 2 hours, they were released and allowed to continue on their journey. They were warned, however, that their new base commanders would be informed of this incident and any actions taken would be fully supported by American Department of Defense and the United States Air Force. Wow.
Dang.
They're not messing around.
No.
This incident alone raises many questions to this day. Why the secrecy when the base had been decommissioned? Why had American Blue Beret Special Forces been stationed there when all nuclear weapons would have been disassembled and moved years before? Either moved to new locations or deactivated at a secure location. Why were the missile silos off limits? It's common knowledge that whatever the UFO crafts were, they were buzzing the missile silos when the incident took place. What was being stored in the missile silos? A downed UFO, an exchanged UFO, an experimental aircraft? This incident is still being debated at the highest levels even today. It's a mystery that still remains largely unsolved. I count myself as being one of the strangers and have had great pleasure in listening to the Strange Sessions podcast. If you decide to read this, then great, but if not, that's no problem. We read it. Keep up the great work, and if you'd like more true, real-life factual stories, then I'd be happy to send more. All the best, Pink Flamingo.
Sweet.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's like the whole Rendlesham Forest thing is crazy, and I agree with him. I mean, if there's supposedly nothing there, why the Blue Berets? Why the what have you seen? Like, there's something there
that specifically is strange.
Yeah.
What have you seen?
There's something there that they did not want them to see. And it's true that when the Rendlesham Forest thing was going on, that the crafts they saw were like buzzing the missile silos. Like, they were interested in something that was there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just really, really fascinating.
It's cool to get another perspective on it.
It is. So thank you so much for sending that Pink Flamingo.
Thanks, Stephen.
We'll play one of his
voicemails
a little bit later in the episode. So cool. Thank you so much. Our next one is from Stranger Annie, and she sends, "Hey, Kurt and Krista, I have been meaning to email you guys. I forwarded this from our last email exchange to help jog your memory of me. Definitely no worries if you don't remember me, though. Of course I did. I'm not really on social media much. Not a bad idea. So I know I miss out a lot on the Strangers group, but I listen to y'all religiously. I have even listened to a number of episodes multiple times.
Aww.
Like so many people have, and that just floors me.
Me
that
too.
You know,
I
listen to them when I edit, and I don't listen to them ever again. Like a lot of others, the missing 411s are some of my favorites. Generally speaking, I'd consider myself a skeptic, but I also know the world is a mysterious place, so it's fun for me to sometimes suspend the skeptic side and just get lost in the strange. I love that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to email for a few reasons. First, I wanted to know if you're still planning on doing the Strange States episodes. If so, I might have something to send you guys from my home state of Washington. It would be a great state to cover. Lots of spooky stories and Bigfoot sightings for Krista, too. Yes. Another reason I wanted to email you was to share a little personal spooky story that you are free to read on the podcast. It's nothing too crazy, but just spooky enough to be strange. Here goes. In December of 2020, my parents contracted COVID, and my dad became critically ill. He was admitted to the hospital and spent several weeks in the ICU fighting for his life. There were more than a few days where we thought we might lose him. Thankfully, he pulled through and was able to go home last month. So happy to hear that. Yeah. But COVID really did a number on him, and when he was discharged, he was still on oxygen, generally pretty weak, and needed lots of outpatient, occupational, and physical therapy. Part of his rehabilitation involved him using something called an incentive spirometer. It's a device that people use to help build up their lung capacity. It has this long, wide blue tube attached to it. I've attached a generic image of what it looks like to this email.
I've used one of those.
Seriously?
Yeah, I used to get bronchitis when I was younger, and that was something, because it's like a lung thing. I had to use one of those ones because I had gotten it really bad.
Yeah.
It does it. You have to blow into it and watch this thing rise and fall, and your goal is to get it to rise a certain way, and then you know your lung capacity is getting better. So.
Yeah. I think I remembered her picture, so I remember what it looks like. So here's the spooky part. After my dad's discharge, my daughter and I went to bring a meal to my parents and visit for a little while. As soon as we arrived, my daughter, who will be 2 in a couple months, walked right over to the incentive spirometer, pointed right at it, and took 2 very deep, exaggerated breaths. We all sort of stopped in our tracks. How could she know what this was used for? We didn't own one. There was no way she had ever seen one be used. It was our first time at my parents' house in months, so she hadn't been there before to see it. She has just been around me and my husband almost exclusively since the pandemic hit. She doesn't go to daycare, stay with family, etc. I mean, there is really no opportunity we could think of for her to see this thing in use. And then it hit me. My daughter was born very prematurely, almost 10 weeks premature, in fact. When she was born, she was tiny, weighing only 4 pounds, and she couldn't eat or breathe on her own. She had to remain hospitalized in the neonatal intensive care unit for about 2 months. During that time, she relied on machines to breathe and tubes to eat. And those breathing machines she used as a tiny, tiny little preemie baby, well, wouldn't you know, they also had a long, wide blue tube similar to the incentive spirometer in my parents' living room. That's weird that she would
have that memory.
For being, a premature little baby.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't have a good explanation for how she knew what it was for, other than kids can be creepy sometimes. Ha. But really, it does seem like she had some memory for events she shouldn't be able to recall. My family thinks it was her way of telling her grandpa that he would be okay, that if she can do it, he can do it.
Aww.
All he needs to do is just breathe.
That's sweet.
That is sweet. So that's my story. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do. You've got a solid fan base going. Yes, we are fans. And I can't tell you how much we love when a new episode drops. I feel like I went through some mild withdrawals waiting for the season to start. Seriously, though, you have become one of my favorite podcasts, maybe even my favorite when I think about it. I know others have said this, but it really does feel just like I'm hanging out with a couple of friends during your show. You have such a comfortable air about you, and you make the listeners feel comfortable and included. Aww. Your podcast was actually one of the few that I listened to as a way to cope during the time I spent in the NICU with my daughter. You guys helped take my mind off a lot of really hard stuff, and you brought me considerable comfort during a time when I needed it most. I can't thank you enough for that. Aww.
Wow.
I'm gonna get teary. When life gets back to normal, if you ever find yourself in the Seattle-Tacoma area, I'll buy you all a beer and give you a tour of some of our most haunted spots. Krista is on her own for Bigfoot hunting, though. I'm not trying to end up in David Paulides' next book. Stay strange, Annie. Oh, thank you so much, Annie.
Yeah, I love how she's like, and yes, we are fans, because we're so reluctant to use that word.
I know. I used it earlier. I think I said fans, and I just cringed when I said it because I just don't like it. But yeah, that's so strange.
Like, how likely is it that she would have that memory still?
I don't know. I mean,
interesting.
I mean, I think I told you I have that weird memory thing of me where my mom was rocking me, and I was a baby. I was like a literal. I think I've talked about this on here. I have this memory of my mom rocking me in a chair, but it's like I'm standing in front of the chair watching? Her rock me.
Oh, interesting.
But I was a baby, but I was older than...
It wasn't Corey? Are you older than Corey?
Yes, but it wasn't Corey. It
wasn't
me.
a memory of you watching her rocking Corey?
No, it was me, because Corey hadn't been born yet.
Interesting.
Yeah, and...
I don't think you've ever told me this.
I think I talked about that on here, that I had this...
Really?
I have this weird memory, and I can see the room. I can see where my mom was sitting, and I can see me standing there watching her.
Weird.
And...
Like your future self? Almost?
No, I was still a kid in my memory. Remembering it, it wasn't like my future self, but I was still a kid, but I was watching my mom rock me as a baby.
That's so strange. Maybe you had an out-of-body experience.
I really don't think it was Corey, because I think this was before Corey was born. And, but even at that, I was a pretty big baby when my mom was rocking me. So not like this. I mean, if this was a premature...
Right, a preemie?
Like, she should have no memories whatsoever of...
I don't know.
The breathing apparatus.
Yeah, that's strange.
It is really strange. Yikes. Yeah.
It's cool.
It's cool, but it's like, it's weird. Like, I can't understand how that would work.
Right.
Wow. Thank you for sending us that, Annie.
And so honored that we could provide, comfort.
Yes, any kind of comfort for anybody.
Okay, this next one is from Brian. Hello, Kurt and Krista. Hey, Brian. You guys are my favorite podcast to listen to. I love the stories and decided to share my stories with you. Sorry for my bad grammar and writing. That's funny. My first experience happened when I was in the 7th grade. I was playing football and was blindsided where I lost consciousness and had a bad concussion. While in the hospital, my whole family was there and they took turns staying in the room with me that night. My grandpa was by my side. I fell asleep about 6 p.m. and woke back up at 10 to my mom and brother entering. I told my mom that my grandma, my mom's mom, came to me and she was rubbing my head telling me everything is going to be fine and she will be by my side until I get better. My brother started to cry and ran into the hallway. I was confused. My grandma died when I was in the 4th grade.
Wow.
That day, my mom prayed to her to look after me. My brother didn't believe in anything like that until I told him that. Oh, that's interesting.
That is. Wow.
Next story. My family moved into a new home, and about 6 months there, stuff started happening. First, I was playing hide and seek with all my brothers and sisters. I was counting downstairs, and everyone was on the 2nd floor. I saw feet run past me while my head was in my couch, and I heard, "Ready," so obnoxiously. I'm like, "I saw you come down here. Come out." I searched for 5 minutes and couldn't find anyone when I heard "Ready" again from upstairs. I went up there and go, "Seriously, was anyone downstairs?" Nobody came downstairs. Everyone was upstairs, even the dog.
That's weird.
That's very weird. That's like, ooh, that's creepy.
like a kid spirit playing with them.
Yes, mimicking or something. Yeah. Ugh. After that day...
You don't like the mimicking.
Blech. After that day, my whole family, except my dad, would see a little girl in a white dress run around and play with my little sister's toys.
Yeesh.
She would appear and disappear. This went on for months until one morning my dad was disturbed. He said he was using the restroom when he thought he saw my sister on her dresser playing with toys. When he leaned in to yell at her, there was no one there. She seemed nice. There was never a bad feeling until one night in the attic where my 2 brothers and I slept. My brothers and I are separated in different beds. I had this weird, overwhelming feeling come over me. As I was tossing and turning, I felt my right foot feel as if someone grabbed it and pulled.
That's a nope.
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 I was halfway off my bed, and I jumped and ran across the room, terrified. That night, my brothers and I all slept by each other, not leaving. That was the only aggressiveness we experienced from that so-called little girl, and it happened right after I searched the area and address to see if anyone died and if there was ever a little girl that went missing in my area. Lastly, my dad and stepmom had 5 kids, and my dad and mom had 3, so there were 8 kids in this tiny house. One night, my dad and stepmom went out. I can't remember for what, but I was watching everyone. It was about midnight, and my little sister, who was only 5 months at the time, was screaming and crying, so I ran into the room to find out what was going on. As I entered the room, the crib was to my right, and there was this figure with a weird animal shape I can't explain over my sister's crib. That is...
I don't like that.
Heebie-jeebie stuff right there.
That's one of those things that's going to end up popping back into my head tonight when I'm trying to sleep.
Oh, wait. It turned and looked at me, had these bright red eyes, and leaped to the ground and looked like it was squatting, low to the ground, moving slowly to my left.
Oh, no. I'm on the note bus for that one.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm not babysitting ever again.
No.
I was terrified. I hit the light switch and the whole figure was gone. I then ran to my sister, grabbed her from the crib, and went to the living room. Those eyes were so bright and looked evil, and I can never forget what I saw that night. I don't know what it could be. It still gives me chills to this day.
Same.
Yeah. It's not just because the air conditioning's on
Yeah,
and I'm freezing.
exactly.
All these events happened between the ages of 8 and 14. I don't see things as much anymore, but I do get those weird tingly feelings, or if I walk into old places or even just weird areas, my heart will start racing and I get out right away. I appreciate your time and will be listening. Brian. Thanks, Brian.
Wow, thanks,
That's
Brian.
Creepy.
Thanks for my nightmares tonight.
There's something yeah, no kidding. There's something really creepy about, seeing children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or hearing children.
Yep.
Or because there's a theory that it's not a child.
Yeah.
It's something else mimicking a child to gain your trust.
I remember Barry telling us that at Vicky's at the secondhand shop that
There's
she
no little
told us,
girl
she
there.
said, whatever we think is not
Right.
harmful there might not necessarily be as innocent as we're thinking it is.
Agreed.
Wow. Yeah, that was creepy.
That's really creepy. Thanks, Brian.
Especially now that if it's so hot in my bedroom, I don't sleep under the covers. I sleep right on top of the covers.
Which makes you feel vulnerable.
Which I don't like. Because
I need at least a sheet on me. I can't.
I like last night, I conked out super early, 7:30 last night. I conked out, woke up this morning on top of my sheets still, and...
Yeah, it's like mid-90s here. At least it's not humid yet. It's getting
That's
there,
going to
though.
be this week.
I know.
It's supposed to be this week. Yeah, that's creepy.
Super creepy.
So now we're going to play one of the voicemails we got from Pink Flamingo. I almost said Fink Flamingo. That we got from Pink.
I kind of prefer that.
We got from Pink Flamingo.
Or Steven from the UK.
Yes, it's not a voicemail. This was a...
Yeah, a professionally recorded MP3
yeah.
that he left in our Dropbox.
Yes, so thank you so much for this. I'm going to call him Pink just because I think
Pink?
that's cool.
What's
I know
up,
it's Steven,
Pink?
but I like Pink.
It's totally dazed and
It
confused.
is totally. I got my shirt on.
Yeah, you do.
L-I-V-I-N.
All right.
And like everybody said, this is like my lucky
your podcasting
podcasting shirt. I got my lucky podcasting underwear on. We're good.
I tend to wear my Strange Sessions shirt when we record.
I was going to wear the Strange Session shirt, and I'm like, no, I got to wear it because I kind of
It's
want
a tradition.
to wear this one out a little bit because then this is going to be my sleeping shirt. But
you
I
gotta
can't.
break it
I got to
in.
break it in. So anyway, I don't know how we got off on that segue, but here is a story from listener Pink.
Good evening, Kurt and Krista, and good evening to the strangers out there. I'm Steve from the UK. I have a mixing and recording studio which I promote on Instagram amongst other places. It was here that I first encountered the Strange Sessions podcast. I began listening and soon became hooked. I reached out to Kurt and Krista with a story regarding the Rendlesham UFO incident, but also promised them further stories, all of which are true as far as the accounts are concerned. This incident, and a second one which I will send over to you at a later date, happened to the father of an old friend of mine who I haven't been in touch with for many years. This person, who I'll call David, used to babysit for his aunt and uncle when he was a teenager to earn a little money. It was a Saturday night, and as usual, David's aunt and uncle would go to their local pub for a few drinks with friends. David got to the house at around 7 o'clock, which was in an area called Smethwick, and was welcomed inside and given a bottle of ale and a few cigarettes. He arrived in the middle of an argument between his aunt and uncle regarding whose turn it was to get coal for the fire. The house was a 3-bedroom, 3-storey Victorian townhouse, with 2 bathrooms and a coal cellar. Neither of them wanted to venture down into the cellar as they felt that they would dirty their clean clothes now that they were ready to go out. David told them to stop arguing, and he would go and get coal when the fire started to get low. His aunt and uncle happily agreed, said their goodbyes, and went on their way to meet their friends. Back then, TV channels were limited, so David would often listen to the radio after he had put the 2 children to bed at around 8 o'clock. This was the routine he followed on that Saturday night. As he settled into the armchair by the fire, he switched on the radio and tuned it in to receive some music. He opened his bottle of ale, lit a cigarette, and began to relax. After around 45 minutes, the fire began to die down. So David grabbed the coal bucket, which had a small coal shovel, a pair of gloves, and a candle inside. He put the gloves on, lit the candle, grabbed the bucket, and walked over to the cellar door, which was on the opposite wall to the fireplace. Now, most cellars in these types of houses had a set of stone steps which led down to a room roughly the size of the living room above. This was also a stone floor. There was a chute towards the top of the wall nearest the road which enabled the coal trucks to deposit bags of coal into the cellar. There were no lights down there, hence the need for the candle. David opened the door and walked down 3 or 4 steps when he stopped. He went completely cold, had goosebumps and a feeling of absolute terror and dread. The candle lit up the room quite well, and David could see that there was nothing down there apart from a pile of coal at the far wall where the chute was. Maybe that was the reason for the cold, he thought. The coal chute. Maybe the cold night air and the candlelight were playing on his mind. He descended down a few more steps but stopped again. Something was watching him. Something was down there with him. The goosebumps had now become worse and had travelled over his back and up his neck. He had to get coal to keep the fire going. He simply had to. He began to walk further down the steps when a long, loud, cold breath filled the cellar. David froze again. The feelings of terror and dread were now huge. David took a deep breath and hurried to the pile of coal at the far wall by the coal chute. He leant the candle up against the wall, quickly grabbed the shovel and began piling coal into the bucket. Then the faint laugh of a small child came from behind him. Then the candle went out. David slowly raised his head, stood up, and turned around. Everything was quiet, but so cold and so oppressive. He reached his hand down to grab the handle of the bucket. When he heard the laughter again, it was right in front of him. He could not take it anymore. He ran with the coal bucket across the cellar, up the stairs and into the living room. He spun around, dropped the bucket, slammed the cellar door shut and pushed the armchair up against the door. He stood in the middle of the living room trying to understand what had just happened to him. He went upstairs to check on the children. They were fast asleep. Safe. He went back downstairs and sat in the other armchair near the fire, shoveled coal onto the fire to get it roaring once more, then sat there smoking a number of cigarettes and opening another bottle of ale, waiting for his aunt and uncle to return. At around 12:15 in the morning, the front door opened and in strolled his aunt and uncle, slightly drunk but in good spirits. "Everything go all right, Dave?" said his uncle. "Are you joking?" David said. "There's something down in that cellar. I felt it." David's aunt and uncle immediately looked at each other. "Did you hear anything?" said his aunt. "Yes." "Laughter," said David. I told you she was down there, David's aunt shouted at his uncle. I told you I felt her down there, and you even said yourself that you were uncomfortable down there. I know, said his uncle. I just didn't think it was real. If you both knew, why not say anything to me, said David. What's down there? Who's down there? The story retold to David by his aunt and uncle went like this. Around 20 years before they moved in, a family owned the house. A mother, father, and 3 children. 2 sons, aged 5 and 8, and a daughter almost 2. The father was extremely controlling, very bad-tempered, and also a drunk. He adored all of his children, but when the drink took control, he became a different man. His choice of punishment for his children when they were disobedient was to put them in the cellar. Alone. In the dark. On one particular night, he came home in a vile mood, drunk and angry. He settled next to the fire but couldn't relax as his daughter was crying upstairs. The mother tried to calm the girl, but the father had had enough. He grabbed the toddler and took her down into the cellar, climbed the stairs, and slammed the door, leaving her alone, in the dark, in the cold, and terrified. The little girl screamed and cried for what seemed like an eternity to the mother, but soon there was silence. The father, apparently grinning with contentment, stormed over to the cellar door and pushed it open. Not realizing that his little girl had climbed the stone stairs and was sat behind the door. The door pushed her down the stone steps and onto the stone floor. She died from her injuries in that very cellar. Apparently the family weren't charged with the crime. Not even manslaughter. It was most likely ruled as an accidental death. But David, his aunt and uncle didn't know the full outcome. All they knew was that down in that cellar was a little girl, still trying to get out. Well, there you have it. A story that has stuck with me for so many years. If you enjoy, I have more. Just let Kurt and Krista know, and I'll tell them more. And we'll get to that. And don't worry, the dogs will always be okay. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much to Kurt and Krista for your hard work and dedication. Stay strange, and good night.
Well, I guess we can just hang it up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So we get a story submission that's 10 times better than our actual podcast. It's like, wow.
I guess there's a great preview of a high quality show.
Yes,
that will be available coming to you soon.
That was amazing. Chris and I at the end both burst out laughing when he said we'll get to that.
The dogs will always be okay.
So that was a good story.
Yeah, I mean, just the production quality is amazing, but the story was really creepy.
This will be our last. This will be our last episode. We're done. Everybody that's doing podcasts from ours are doing better than us.
They're pulling us out of the water.
Yeah, it's been nice. It was a good run.
Yeah. That was really creepy, though. We just got done saying how creepy it is to encounter kids in these sort of scenarios, and it's crazy to get the full story of.
As lousy as it is to imagine somebody doing that to punish.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
I believe it. I've heard
totally.
I've heard similar stories about people that did stuff like shut them in the basement with the lights off.
Talk about trauma.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So wow. Thank you so much for that. That was great. That was amazing.
I mean, it was a creepy story and well told and very entertaining.
And I believe we do have another one from him. We're going to do in our next listener.
We do.
So that was wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to read. Listener Nathan sent us a couple of them, so I'm just going to read like the first part, and then we're going to do one more, and then we're going to probably call it quits for this episode, and we already have a lot of stories for our next listeners.
I thought we'd actually get more into this episode, but I feel like we're already running out of time. We're actually at an hour and 23 minutes, and there was a lot of time that you're going to edit out, but we still have to do song and all that stuff.
So
okay.
We thank you guys so much for all these submissions. We're going to have enough for 2. Maybe we can eventually just do listener stories and nothing else. I don't know. You guys did so good with the stories this time. So we had 3 of them within the last couple days sent to us. So those are going to wait. We're going to do a couple more episodes in between, and then we will have another, like I was telling Krista, it's nice if something is going on when I don't have time to do a lot of research that we can do another listener stories. So you guys really stepped up. So thank you so much.
And any stories left hanging out, we can just read at the end of some future episodes too. We don't want to exclude any stories.
No, so we're going to get to all the stories you guys sent us, but it'll just be in a couple episodes from now, and it'll be another listener stories episode. So thank you. So this is from listener Nathan Ward. Okay. He says
he's been a long time stranger, I think.
Yes, he has.
Okay.
He says, "Hi again. I can't remember the exact order these occurred in. It was between around 2003 to 2006, I think. So I'll just put them all in and see what you think. So I'm only going to do like the first little bit." He says, "Background. My two friends and I, Paul and Steve," which I'm guessing is Steve. It's just STE all the time. Steve. I think that's cool. "Paul and Steve, fresh out of uni, rented a uni." I love when people call college uni.
So he's from overseas.
Must be. Me and two friends, Paul and Steve, fresh out of uni, rented a 3-bedroom house together. We were at an age where it was party time all the time. I remember that. So I'm sure our neighbors loved us. Sorry, neighbors. The upper floor had 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. I've attached a very rough room plan. And the ground floor had a living room and a dining room that was open with a separate kitchen. So his first story is called 3 Knocks. With 3 of us sharing one bathroom that had no lock. Ugh, I would hate that.
I have to have a lock on a bathroom door.
I just hate the idea of sharing a bathroom.
Well, that too, but bathroom doors without locks are like a no for me.
With 3 of us sharing one bathroom that had no lock, we got into the habit of knocking on the bathroom door if it was closed and asking if anyone was in there. If there was, that person would just reply, "Yep." So we got used to doing it. Eventually, we won't even ask the question, just knock and wait for a yep. All these instances happened late at night. I remember it being around 2 a.m. First instance, I was in the bathroom, heard 3 knocks on the door. We always seemed to do 3, so it didn't seem odd. I said yep, and there was no reply. I came out of the bathroom and noticed that all the lights were out, so no one else was up. I thought it was a bit odd, but assumed it must have been Paul, as his room was right next to the toilet. It never really occurred for me to mention it the next day. A couple of weeks later, Steve asked if someone had knocked on the bathroom door the night before. I said I hadn't, but asked him to describe it. He said he heard 3 knocks and said he was in there and didn't get a reply, but he did not hear footsteps going away. I told him my story, and they were pretty much identical. We asked Paul about it to see if he was fooling around, and he said it wasn't him. I believe him because we did prank each other. I'll get to that later, but this wouldn't be the type of prank we'd pull. Finally, it happened a third time. This was around 2 a.m. Everyone was asleep. All lights were out. I was in the bathroom, and I heard 3 raps on the door. It sounded just like 3 rapping fingers rather than a knock, if that makes sense. That's creepy.
That's really
creepy. Where you hear like one finger going... I said, yep, no reply. So I thought, well, if someone's joking around, I haven't heard anyone move yet, so they must be at the door. So I yanked it open and no one was there. I listened for a while and couldn't hear any movement from any of the rooms. Yuck. Possibly with what happened above, we were all talking one day about hearing strange sounds. I hadn't heard much myself, but Steve, who I thought brought it up, mentioned hearing just strange bangs and the like. Paul then said really matter-of-factly, "Yeah, I get that a lot. I don't particularly like them, but when they start getting too loud or too close to me, I just put my headphones on and hope they go away." He then added, "One time, both of you were staying out one night, and it got so much that I slept on the couch with my headphones on." Side note on this, if I hear weird sounds, I don't want to drown them out with headphones. I want to know where they're coming from. Good for you.
Yeah, I'd want to drown them out. In my own home.
Yeah. One evening, Paul and Steve were going to a party across town. I'd been invited too, but I was a little broke that month and fancied a quiet night. So my rock and roll weekend began with them going out and me doing some dishes. Partway through, it felt like someone came up behind me and gently squeezed my backside.
Ooh.
Now, as an aside, this is 100% something we used to do to each other as a prank to see if we could get the other recipient to freak out. As with most of these silly games, the other person had to do their best not to react. Otherwise, they'd have to buy a pint on a night out or similar. Just general horsing around. I love that. I love pint. Mm-hmm. So because of this, I didn't initially react and just assume that Paul had gotten the jump on me. Then I realized I was in the house by myself. I grabbed my keys, locked up, and left and joined the others at the party shortly after. That's weird.
It's almost as if whatever is there has been watching them, and now it's mimicking what they do. And that's really creepy.
We don't like mimicking.
No.
I'm freaked out by the rapping. And like he said, the really finger creepy. Rapping on the door instead of like a knock.
Again, the bathroom is a place where you're kind of vulnerable. And it's the middle of the night. I don't like it.
So yeah, he has sent us more, but we're going to save those for the next episode. Making a little stockpile for the next episode.
I think we have more than a little stockpile.
Yeah, we're going to be good. So now we have one from stranger Jana, who was nice enough to, when she signed her name, said, parentheses, sounds like Anna, because she knows how I am with names sometimes. So thank you, Jana. She's a very loyal listener, so that's awesome. She writes, "Hi, Kurt and Krista. I have 2 weird short stories to tell you. Not sure they're anything supernatural, but they are creepy, and each only happened to me once and only in one specific house. I lived in a 5-bedroom house with my parents and little sisters. I was in my mid-20s. My bedroom was over a 3-car garage, and I always felt watched in my bedroom, in the house, and outside in the yard." Krista, sorry, I can see Krista out of my peripheral vision just shaking her head. Nope. "I felt a presence in the room and was always slightly uncomfortable in the room. My cat would stare at spaces and spots on the wall often. I slept fine, though, most of the time." We got into a lot of talk about people.
Their animals reacting to stuff.
Narnia never really does that. I never see her like staring at something in the distance.
Lucy barks at stuff, but I feel like that's
Lucy.
a dog
That's
thing.
Lucy.
She can hear a dog barking 5 blocks away that we can't hear, and she's answering them.
She goes on to say, "One night I woke up in the middle of the night and noticed that I felt really heavy, like something was pressing on me. And I noticed that the darkness right above my body seemed darker than the rest of the darkness. I could move, but I chose not to. I struggled a little bit to breathe, but was fine otherwise. It ended after about 2 or 3 minutes and never happened again."
That's weird.
That doesn't sound like sleep paralysis because she couldn't move, but she was choosing not to.
That's really weird.
"Another night, I woke up suddenly and rolled over to turn on the bedside lamp, and I turned the switch, but the light didn't turn on. I remember feeling uncomfortable and urgently wanting the light, but I didn't know why. Then I woke up and realized that I had been dreaming. I rolled over to turn on the lamp, and again, it wouldn't turn on."
Well, that's the worst. That's like a movie sequence right there.
That is. "I was still feeling weirdly uncomfortable and knew I had to turn on the light. Then I woke up, and this time I really did wake up, rolled over and turned on the bedside lamp, which this time came on. I have no clue what happened, but always felt that something was trying to keep me from waking up."
Oh, that is creepy.
It's creepy. Anytime I see Krista cringe during a story, I know she's creeped out.
Light is very important to me. Like when I get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, sorry, TMI, it's very dark. I take my phone and I use
you've told me that you
it to
take your
light the
phone.
way. And if,
I don't.
If it times out and I'm stuck in the dark, I'm like, turn on.
I find the phone light creepier than...
Really?
Yeah.
Than darkness?
Yes. There's something like about the light. I don't know. I just find that creepier than darkness.
As a quick aside, this happened the other night, and I finally saw 11:11 for the first
yes,
time in
you
my
did,
life.
and you
like
sent me.
legitimately
you sent
11:11.
Did you screenshot it? Because you sent it
I
to
did.
me. Yeah, you sent it to me.
It was very
The
exciting.
first 11:11.
I think I saw it when we were recording once, but it turned out the laptop time was
Yes.
not accurate, so I don't
Yeah.
count that.
That's awesome. You got your first 11:11.
I did.
And she says, "Thanks for reading. Love you guys in the podcast." Jana. Sounds
Thanks,
like Anna.
Jana. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jana. Thank you so much for
That's
being such a
creepy
loyal
stuff.
listener.
That
Yes, it is.
dream thing is like the creepiest.
And
It's
we're-
like a dream within a dream within a
within
dream.
a dream. It's like Inception. Yeah.
Me no likey.
No, that's weird.